we are beginning the lesson 48. The page Tet Zayin, Tet is 9 and Zayin is 7:16. Hasulam, the left column, the line 22. So we have learned up till now that this mochin that the Nukwa receives in her place now where she stands in the Yishsut, where she dresses the Tfuna. These mochin are Vak de Gadlut. Vak de Gadlut actually means Nefesh Ruach de Gadlut. 6/10 of the Gadlut, you can say. Ziran Pin of the Gadlut, you can say, because Vak is 6 endings, is Ziran Pin, wherever. And I would like to, just right now, to explain you a little bit this phenomenon, that why in such, from another point of view, why the lowers receive only in this case, despite the fact that they rose the man, that they receive still, they don't receive still the mochin de chokhmah or mochin de chaya, because this was their request. And now they receive only half of the gadlut. Actually, is it gadlut, but the mochin are like half of the gadlut, a little bit more. And this despite of the fact that there is gadlut. Gadlut means, what means the gadlut? Gadlut means that the bina, kelim, bina, zeiran, pinet, malchut, of the lower level, in this case, is it bina, higher bina, and the lower bina, Abba V'Ima and Yishsut. That actually in the Gadlut, the Abba V'Ima gets here bina, zeiran, bin, and malchut up to here. And together with this, Yishsut makes one partsuf with the Abba V'Ima. And then we would expect that the man is already with the bina. And the bina should now have the reason to turn herself to the chokhmah. It means bina ima. She can turn herself to the Abba. And of course they are rising to the Rosh of the Arihanpin. But no, it doesn't happen like this. Despite of the fact that now the Bina has the full partsuf all 10 sferot, or 5 kilim, as we say, with all Naranchai, still in this fast rising of man, it helps, as it were, only the Binah to unite themselves, to unite these here two parts, and to come in the head of the Arihanpin. But doesn't help actually to the zone yet. It helps a lot, but not as definite this what they definitely need, or the light of Chaya. Why does it happen? And this always happens like this. Because this helps only from one point. That due to the fact that the Binah now is united and has the Gadlut, the Abba, who beforehand stood with Ima Achor Ba'achor. It means his panim, his face is in opposite direction, and her face is opposite direction, and only Achoraim, by the backside, they feel each other. This is already a great tikkun, because in between their Achoraim are the Keter, as it were, shines between them. The Keter, we call it, because between the Chochmah and the Binah is the Keter, but shines between them. So this is the Achor Ba'achor. This is the situation. Achor Ba'achor is the situation, is the state of Abba V'Ima in their original position, in the Guf of the Arihanpin. So, under the Peh of the Arihanpin, under the head of the Arihanpin. Then they are staying like this. Why they are staying like this? Because they are not in the head now. So they stand like this in the body of the Arihanpin. But when the lower, the zone, rise man, actually the souls can rise man. But we say it the zone, because it comes to the zone. Then there is the Binah feels the necessity to come into contact with Abba, Ima, with Abba. But in this case, where we are now, after one rising of man, the Nukwa stands, or the zone, you can say, stand in the Yishsut. But this is only under the Chazeh of the Arihanpin. This means that this is not sufficient for the Binah to turn herself to the Abba. Binah, Ima. It is not sufficient for the Ima to turn herself to Abba. But for Abba it is already sufficient to turn himself to Ima. Why? Because by this rising of man, Abba Ima is standing in the head of the Arihanpin, and now Abba receives the Chokhmah. And he shines upon Ima, but Ima is still standing now with her back to him. Why? Why she does react like this? But because only when the man comes between her and Abba, on her level, then this is, as it were, in her belly. Then the Ima has all the right, as it were, and feels all the necessity instinctively, as it were, to turn herself to Abba. And that would be panim bepanim, face to face. And only in the state of face to face, very important what I try to say, between Ima and Abba, she can provide the light Chaya to the zone. But in the first instance where we are now, the zone already rose to the Yishsud, but not to the Gar of the Binah, only to the Vak of the Binah, because Yishsud is Vak of the Binah, is Zeiranpin of the Binah. Six lower Sfirot of the Binah, or we call it often as Zat de Binah, 7 lower of the Binah, because why? Because Yeshut is 6 Sfirot of the lower Sfirot of the Binah, from Chesed till Yesod, and the Nukva of the Binah is the 7th. So now the zone rose only to the Zat of the Binah. And so they receive, of course, the light what is Achorayim of the Abouim. Yes? What is Yishsut? Yishsut is Achorayim of the Abouim. Yes? Achorayim is 7 lower Sfirot in every Partsuf. So they Achorayim of the Abouim. So Abouim has a status of Gadlut. So Achorayim of the Abouim is Vak of the Gadlut. But what is this for the position now? Now it is the position. So when the zone stands in the Yishsud, that the Binah has all 10 Sfirot, Gadlut, but only Abba gets from Arichanpin the light of Chokhmah, of the light of Chaya. Normally, see, up till now, also in our Zohar lesson in Dutch, we speak always that Binah rises to the head of the Arichanpin and then gets the Chokhmah over there. This is true, because then it is general. In general, we can say, because Abba and Ima, we can say that they are Binah. Also, because, but they are Apa Binah. But when they rise the sequence is that when they rise to the first, when they rise in the first Gadlut to the head of the Arichampin, that only Abba gets the Chokhmah, but Ima not. Why not? Again, Ima, the trait of the Ima is Ki Hafetz Chesed Hu, because she wants Chesed. He wants Chasadim normally. She doesn't need, in any case, she would change her nature, but only when the man is sufficient, the man of the zon, of their children, is sufficient to rise up to her. Then this brings her to leave her Achorayim, because normally she stands Achorayim to the Abba. Only then this makes her leave her normal state of the Achorayim towards Abba, and to turn to him her face. This you can also see this in traditions, not only in Jewish tradition, but also in others, where for instance, during when the wedding takes place, that first the Kala, the bride, her face is covered, yes, with voile, yeah, how would you call it? Yeah, with veil. You see, is covered, because normally, as it were, in here she stands Ima, and in this case she becomes, as it were, Ima, feminine part of him, he would be Abba. They unite themselves, and her face is covered with veil, yes? But then, only when their marriage officially now is, how do you call it, realized now by all this procedure, and he says yes, and she has yes, and he places a ring on her hand, and everything is settled, then he can open her veil and kiss her. This is the unity, this is kissing, this is the zivug of the peh, zivug ruchani, the spiritual zivug. This is the first, as it were, the first zivug that they make, the spiritual zivug. And this is also a condition of panim de panim, face to face, and then they can see each other. All these traditions, you see, in other nations, I don't know, maybe they took also from the Jewish part, but nevertheless, this is what I know in the Jewish tradition. You see, this is all based on the spirituality. But now but what is then the how do you call it, what did Zon now acquired due to their rising up to the Yirsut? This Gadlut Aleph. They don't receive yet the light Chaya, because she stands still with her back to Abba. But what they receive? Now she is in the Gadlut. Okay, the fact is that she appreciates Chasadim, but now she is full of, she has the Gadlut. She is in the head, as before. So she is in the head, she is full of Chokhmah, but she doesn't need the Chokhmah. But now she is not in the body, but not in the body of the Arichanpin, but in the head. And now what she does for their children, she shines upon them with her fully Chasadim. Now they get from her Nefesh and Ruach, but not just a little bit, but the whole, all Naranchai, all 5 lights, the Gadlut of Nefesh and the Gadlut of Ruach. And this is what we call, this is what the Kabbalah calls Vak de Gadlut. I said last time that even a little bit more, that they get also half of the Binah. But this is already enough what he says. You see, the Vak of the Gadlut, this is what they receive from here. And this is a great thing, because they receive the light from the head. It is not Chaya, but this is the light from the head. And this is enough for them. And she, as it were, protects them from the Chokhmah. Not yet. Boys, you are still too little, too unexperienced to receive the light Chaya. Firstly, grow up a bit, then you can raise your man to us, to me, in my position of where I stood, standard where I am standing, in my standard position, in the place of Abba V'Ima, in the body of the Arichanpin. Because nothing disappears in the spirituality. Over there is stands the Abba V'Ima normally, naturally, in the after the descending of Binah in the Arichanpin from the head. Because you must know one thing, that after first, it is always like this, that when the lower, let's say, zone, rise man up to the Abuim, or to Binah, we say, that firstly, they rise man to the Yishsut, as we have learned. And then they are growing up, get more wisdom, as it were, more power. And afterwards they don't directly rise further. It doesn't happen like this. Because always it's like this, that first comes the correction or rising to a higher level. When one the lower position, lower level receives the mochin of the higher level, he returns first back to his own place. When he gets the katnut, the state of katnut. And here is also a kind of katnut, the katnut of gadlut. Katnut means 6/10, and this is also 6/10 of the gadlut. Then this lower level that already got mochin from the higher level, in the higher position, returns first back. And this is not exactly the same back, but because after every rising is getting shift above, shift above, yeah. The level is rising. Never the same place. It is never the same place, but if we say the same place, we mean relative the same. This relative, it comes to its own place in relation to the higher level. And then this lower level has its own power to rise the second time, to receive already the gadlut, the fully gadlut with the light of Chaya. And then again, after receipt of the Chaya, the upper level that gives the Chaya, light Chaya, light Chokhmah to the lower level, it is for a short period of time, just like a flitz, how do you call it, flash. And then the higher, we will see how it works, gives the Nehi, the Netzachot Yesod, of them, the mochin, with the mochin in them, gives to the lower level. And itself, the higher level, gets only their own returns to its own position, only Chabad Chagat, only Katnut. The lower level, the higher level doesn't need this Gadlut. He makes Gadlut only due to only for the sake of the lower level. Also, the lower level gets this Gadlut and then has this power of the Gadlut, and then is the next step. There is continue development. It means that now also the lower level had received the Gadlut. He rose to the higher level, and of course the higher level rises to a higher level, than it was before, and nothing disappears in the spirituality. And then this lower level that now, due to the power of the light of the Chaya, that rose to the higher level of before, feels itself over there again as embryo, feels itself small, at the higher level where it rose now. And then begins again the next cycle, that first comes the state of Ibur, so embryo, where the lower level places itself, as it were, completely in the hand, in the belly of the higher level. And again and again and again, in such a way, always is like this. And the same is with us, that every new level means that I must start from the beginning. It's not the same as it was before, but it feels as if you start just for the first time, because you are on the other level, and in the higher level you must adjust, you must grow again. All these phases you must pass in order to come higher and higher. But always is like this, what he had told us, that firstly, the first time, or the first gadlut, so here he doesn't speak about these two stages of the preliminary stages of the first Ibur, when a lower level places itself in the embryo of the higher. This is not what we are studying here, because this was before. Actually, not before. This is a stage that he doesn't speak about this here, because here he speaks already of the gadlut, and first gadlut and the second gadlut. But the first stages are the embryo, or you will call it Ibur, and then Yenika, and then Ibur, with the Ibur, when in the stage of the Ibur, the lower level receives light nefesh, and then Yenika. In the Yenika is feeding with the milk, literally, by like a child, how do you call it? A child, when he's just born, 2 years, he sucks the breast. So this is the second. Then in this Yenika, in this second correction or stage of the correction, he receives, the lower stage receives ruach, but he doesn't speak about this here. Or katnut. These are two stages of katnut. Only the lower level of the katnut is Ibur, when he is like embryo, and Yenika is the second stage of the katnut. But we call it katnut. Normally we call it katnut in general, but when we are working with this subject, with katnut, then we make differentiation. Yes? Always look at this. Sometimes you hear in the Zohar things that you see it is undifferentiated. It means that he speaks in general. But then you see in another case that he differentiates things. Then he takes a subject that before was, he explained in general, and now he explains it is in detailed. So now we see more details more classification, more this and this and this. Is this a little bit clear? Yeah, you see, this is always like this. Then you understand that the first Gadlut is that she is still, her back is to the Abba, is turned to Abba. And they get only Vakte Gadlut, only fully the Naranchai of Nefesh and Naranchai of Ruach. But from the Gar. The line 22. Ata tavin heitev kavanat Zohar truma 23. Hanal babet ta'amim sheomer alma shenikra nukva for 24 bashem ma. Point 22. Ata tavin, now you will understand properly, heitiv, kavanat Zohar, the kavanah, the intention of the Zohar, the meaning of the Zohar, truma, of the parasha, of the chapter, truma 23, Hanal, as it said above. So he mentioned already us in the place already he told us above. Babet ta'amim in two meanings. Shomer, that he says the Zohar Truma, Alma shenikra anukva b'shema, about the case, about the fact that the nukva is called in the name Ma. You remember that the nukva, when she rises to the Yishsut, and particularly to the Tfuna, and now she covers this Tfuna, it means the Tfuna is inside of her. Always is like this, as when the lower rises to the upper, then they are at the same level, but the upper is inside, is inner, and the lower that rise to the higher level is outer, but they are feeding from the same. They have the same feeding, the same quality. But this, you remember, this is only the additional subject, additional condition, additional state to the original state of the lower level. So when the nukva rises to the tfuna, due to the first rising of man, so within here shines this tfuna. And tfuna is lower bina, remember. 24. After the point. Asher beta'am ha-rishon, ha-aleph, you can say. Mevaer ha-mochin 25. Al-yonim shehisiga hanukva nikra meya brachot 26. She'al ken Amru, al tikri ma ela mea. V'hainu 27. Aridei Ariyata lemakom yishsud bakoch eilu amochin. Point. Here is good to place a dot, a point. 27 after at the end. 24 after the point. Asher Bataam Harishon or Bataam Aleph, that in the fast, meaning, the first reason of this name of the Nukwa Ma. The first reason is that the first reason, in the first reason, Mevaer Hamochin Hailonim, he explains the higher Mochin that the Nukwa received or grasped, that these Mochin are called Meya Brachot, are called 100 blessings. 26. She'al ken amru, that because of this, they say, who they? The Torah sages had said, he said, Al tikri ma elameya. They said, don't read ma, but meya. This is the such a procedure in the Torah, that even though it is written in one written so, they say no, don't read it so, but read it like this, because what does it mean? Do they deny what is written? No, but they say the secret meaning, something that was secret. And that was only the Tanaim, where only the great sages from the up till the about 200 of the year of 200, and that there were greatest sages who had the name of general name Tanaim. Tana is the teacher, Tanaim, teachers. And afterwards also the Amoraim, who made the Talmud, both Talmuds. These are called the Torah sages. And furthermore, it was still lesser and lesser, up till about the 10th century, up till 11th century, you can say, up till the Rabbi Moshe Maimon. These are called, before were also Gaonim, the geniuses, but Gaonim, but generally we say it then after the sages of the Talmud, that we say that there were these up till the 11th century were Rishonim, the first ones. And this is also I took it from my great teacher, from Ari. Because Ari said only up to them, they had the genuine connection with the Torah. They could say it in this way, like, Al tikra ma ela, don't read this, but read this. After that was no power anymore. So also my great teacher Ari, I do like him. I try to do like him. What he behaves himself, or he fulfills the mitzvot, the commandments, like they did. Not like it was made afterwards. Not like what they made it up for the general masses. It was also Kodesh, it was also great. It was also, of course, genuine. But for whom? For the masses. That's why afterwards from the Acharonim, after the 11th century, came a long period of the Acharonim, the last ones. Maybe, but several centuries. And they made from the Torah more and more dry, how do you call it? The laws that were only were products of what they had, of what they learned from the previous Torah sages. But they were not anymore the sages. See? There were now sometimes great rabbis, but no one was a sage. They didn't understand anymore the Torah. I mean, and they couldn't understand the Torah itself without relating to the commentaries of the previous sages. So if you ask nowadays, if you ask a good traditional rabbi, then he will tell you that even if he will be honest with you, he will tell you that for us is the Torah is Rambam. So what the Rambam had wrote in his Yad Chazakah, 14 volumes of Yad Chazakah. This is for them Torah. So this is already derivation of the Torah. This is for them and not only for them, also for us. Okay, for us we have the Zohar, but they don't have Zohar. They don't study Zohar. This is why for them is Yad Chazakah. It's a great thing, the Yad Chazakah. I have the best the edition of this, large books of this, with all different commentaries. But it is for them actually the Torah. But no one would dare to make derivation himself from the Torah self. This is just what I tell you, that you will understand what was the level of these real Torah sages. It's unimaginable. They had the contact with especially the Tanaim, and then the Talmud sages. Already to them, to the Tanaim, were the wonders made. For them, wonders were made. But for Tanaim, for the Amoraim, for the Talmud sages, were not even for them were not wonders made. Why? Because the Tanaim had the power for surrender. And this is what remained from the Kabbalistic approach due to the complete surrender to the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to the pure laws of the universe, the laws of the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of the Torah, and not due to their interpretations and interpretations above the interpretations. That's why the Amoraim who made the Talmud, they complained, as it were. They said, look, to them, in the Mishnah, they say, look, to them, to the Tanaim, were miracles made from above. For us, not. And this was the reason. They said, whilst we know more than them. This is knowledge, you see. We know more about the Torah than the Tanaim. They said, because why know? What is more? They brought the laws, on the laws, more laws. And they brought the laws down, because it was necessary to explain things. The reality was more complicated. They needed to explain it more and more to the ground. But together with that, together with this plus, with this positive, bringing the Torah down, they had forgotten the most important thing. How just plainly surrender oneself. By that, every Jew receives salvation. How do you call it? Redemption. Any moment when he wants and when he needs, when he really needs. Though he rises man and he gets directly connection with the Creator. It's like dialing a telephone number, and then you get him on the line directly, without secretary, directly. And this they had forgotten. And you see what we are studying here. We are studying here only one thing. The lower rising man to a higher, to get their man, to get their redemption, to get their light that redempts the light of higher, that redempts them from all the enemies. This what this nation always strives to be redeemed from the enemies. Which enemies are? The enemy is one enemy. It's the Sitra Achra. Unclean power. Clean yourself from the unclean power, you will not see enemies anymore. The enemies will flee from you. Huh? Flee from you, yes, will flee from you. It is also written in when the Israel was one nefesh, when they were in the times when they were in the desert. Not always, but very often. But in times when they were united as one, they had it what did he say? Doesn't matter. It was like this, that then the enemies, then all the nations that in the surrounding, and far away, trembled for this nation, because they were spiritual, they didn't know what the debts were. Debts? Twijfels. What the doubts were. Because they knew the laws of the universe, just how to bring man and to connect themselves. So they had no doubts. And look now to this holy nation now is full of doubts. Why? Because they're far away from the Creator, from their Father. And this is why the lowest, even from outside, the lowest dare to fight with them. The lowest that are on the earth are dared to fight with them only because of their doubts. Because of the doubts appeared in the desert appeared Amalek. No one dared to touch this chosen nation, and then because they doubted, they doubted about Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Should he give us meat? This we have children with this. After seeing all these miracles, then appeared Amalek. So it means that this is the only enemy. The Sitra Achra is the only enemy of a person, and nation doesn't matter, in general or in particular. But a man is created, how do you call it, simple. Not naive, but simple. That he just, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu listens to the heart of a man, and not to his knowledge. And when a man rises man in sincerity and feels his own shortage, then always he will receive the redemption. Firstly, the Ima will cover him after first man. The Ima will cover him with the shining of nefesh and ruach, with shining of chesed, loving kindness, and then he will receive upon that he will receive the light of Chaya that will provide him the full redemption of the Sitra Achra. And then again and again he must grow up till he will be fully redeemed, personally redeemed from his Sitra Achra. Does it mean that the Sitra Achra will not exist anymore in him? Up till the last moment in his life, the Sitra Achra will stand with him. Because only when it will be the general redemption in the Gmar Tikkun, general Gmar Tikkun, then the Sitra Achra in general will dissolve. Because will not be many at the place anymore for the Sitra Achra. But a person who comes to his Gmar Tikkun, he has the Sitra Achra fully in him, and the Sitra Achra is the greatest possible in his system. So, in relation to him, his own, the greatest possible. Look what I said. The greatest potentiality. He realized. Look what I said. That this person realized the greatest potentiality of this Sitra Achra in him. Not that he fled from the Sitra Achra, because then it is nothing. But he realized this Sitra Achra. It means that he fully used the Sitra Achra and pressed it to transfer itself into giving. That it was added to the good part of him. But it exists. Therefore, what is his state then of the Gmar Tikkun? Is it the fully state of serenity? Does he then not need to be aware, or to be, to be aware, I mean, voorzichtig, careful. Okay, he had received now the Gmar Tikkun. He came to his fully destination in private, individual Gmar Tikkun. What does it mean? Does it mean that he now can do everything what he wants? He still at the background is the Sitra Achra, that he has the power to manage it. This is his Gmar Tikkun. But in the Gmar Tikkun, what that will be afterwards, the general Gmar Tikkun. So in this Gmar Tikkun, individual Gmar Tikkun, he brought all his sparks of Kedusha, of the to his Atzilut, and down, how do you go, below in himself, so from his tabur and below, he doesn't feel anymore that over the disturbances, irritations that, or how do you call it, even the seduction of the Sitra Achra, because no seduction anymore. Seduction comes only when the Sitra Achra has some power, and she has some power only when she gets sparks of the, even a little bit, sparks of the Kedusha. But when she doesn't have them, she doesn't have the power to seduce a man. So this is the station of him, but still, of course, in the place of his tabur and downwards, of course, there are some small, very, very, very fine particles of the Kedusha, holiness, of the holiness, that he couldn't correct before the general Gmar Tikkun. So he is a matter of death. So the death, as it were, is he also subject of the death. No, death. So he is subject of death. This is why he is subject of the death. Because after the general Gmar Tikkun will be no more death. But in the individual Gmar Tikkun, still this death. Death, it means that, but the death only means only the physical death. But inner, he lives already completely in the eternity. And now we are turning back. So it was, you see, doesn't matter. It came to me this from above. I would like to go further with the Zohar, but it came suddenly to this, because of this statement, what he said, or of the sages in the line 26, that they used to say, Al tikri ma ela mea. Don't read ma el, but mea. So a mea means 100. So don't read her name as ma, but as mea, that aleph is inserted between the mem and a. Dehainu, that means 27. Alidei aliyata lemakom yirsud, due to her rising to the place of the yirsud, bakoach eilu hamochim, due to the strength of these mochin. 28. this is one reason. One reason what they said why her name is Ma. So now she had got, they said that she is called Meya. Ma, but read it as Meya, because now she is at the place of the Tfunah, and the Tfunah is hundreds, is the place of 100. Yes? You know, we have studied it already, that normally Nukva at her own place is from 1 to 9. Then Zeranpin is tenths, 10, 20, up till 90. And the lower Binah, Yishsut, is hundreds. So 100, 200, up till 900. And 999. So now she is at the place of the Tfunah, that Tfunah is 100, and she is 100, then she is also 100. And this means that she gets from, in this position, 100 blessings. 28. V'ta'am bet, madgish, לבאר, אשר עם כל זה, כיוון שעלתה 29 רק למקום הישסות דקטנות, דהיינו, בעוד 30, שהיה קיימה לשאלה, שהוא מהחזה עד הטבור. 31. דאריכנפין. הרי גם המוחין דנוקבה דומים לגמרי 32. כמוהו. ונעשית גם הנוקבה בבחינת Kaima 33 לשאלה שפירושו וק בלי גר אלא הרווח 34 אמנם גדול מאוד מפני שהוא וק דאבא ואמא 35 עליין, דהיינו וק דגדלות. Point. Step by step you will feel that his explanation is as balsam, is very, very clearly. You can't get anywhere this kind of explanation. Try now Talmud. This Talmud is so many, has so many levushim, so many dressing above the dressing, covering, that you can't see the holiness. Very few in generation, several maybe 3, maybe not more, maybe a little bit more, but can get from the Talmud some spirituality. Others only study this, knowing again, remembering the city. But here, look, how the simplicity, because the spirituality is simple and geniusness. You understand why? Because the higher you come, the simple is the light also. The most simple way you see the light, that the light is united, and the light is, what is the highest place of the light? The complete oneness. And the lower you go, the more coarse, the more coarse is getting the reality. So it means that by studying the Zohar, the Kabbalah, one who studies comes every day, step by step, to the simplicity, to the genius simplicity. And you can't come to this through any other study. No other study what the Jewish nation is given as a heritage brings this everyday recovery and everyday redemption. Only this. And this, you can see this also in the language, how he uses this. So try step by step to be accustomed to this, to all these expressions, and you will see that it is like waters, higher waters upon the lower waters. High waters are, of course, the purity, has all the purity that the lower waters doesn't have. The lower you go, the more turbulent and the more the coarser is getting it's getting more and more a kind of more, as it were, viscosity. The viscosity of it, of the reality, it becomes viscous. And then it comes, it's getting completely that you can't go through it. And this is what all the commentaries that you can get from all the commentaries that are commentaries of the Torah. It's not that they are bad. Everything comes from the Ruach HaKodesh, but for their levels, or the levels of the explanation, are coverage. This is very low to the ground. If I would have a child, a boy, now of my child, if would be like of the age of, let's say, 6 years old, I would know how to teach him. I would firstly send him to someone, because I don't have time for this, and I'm not a specialist in this. I would send him to someone who I know, who will not give him all these things that are necessary, only necessary for him for the Torah. I will not study him the Torah itself, because it's nothing. It doesn't give anything. It is the true. You must understand what I say. It is the true source, but not the way how they study this, just to remember these words. They know, the boys know it from head. Why? You don't need this. Okay, the Torah he knows, because every week you read a little bit this, so you read this, so year in, year out you learn it. Only simple meaning. But then I will send him directly in the age of 5-6 years to, before I would learn with him, of course, the letters. Even that I would send him, no, I would probably do it myself, or will send him to someone. But then I will send him to someone who will give him Rambam, who will give him this Torah in the explanation of this what I said to you, Yad Chazaka. Because then you have everything over there. You have everything that, how this great codificator had made all this, because the Talmud was already made, of course, because he lived about 1147, 1150 was at the time when he made this great work. But and the Talmud was finished at the year about 500. So he wrote in these 14 volumes. 14 volumes is it because 14 names of these books, subjects. So he made this out of the Talmud, but in the beautiful Hebrew. That before him, I don't know whether someone could write it like in this beautiful Hebrew that is still modern. And he will explain, he will learn, in order that he will learn with him this work. So, because this is the Torah, and not what they are studying with Rashi. Rashi is great, but no one understands how to study this with commentary of Rashi. And then he will study also with Rashi is good, but the most important is this Rambam, this Yad Chazaka, because over there, this is the Torah, actually, because more we can't understand. And then he will study this for some years, let's say in 3 years, 3 to 5 years. 5 years probably. And then I will send him to someone who will learn with him several years, not more. 3 to 5 years Talmud, not more. Just to know how to work with this a little bit. But before that, from about 9 years, I would learn him already, teach him already the principles of Kabbalah. And so that up till the age of, let's say, the general child, not the genius. Because the Ari was already at 8 years old. He was sent away from the greatest rabbi in Egypt, the chief rabbi of Egypt, that he didn't know what to study with him. He didn't know what to learn with him. He knew everything already. I speak about the general person, so that the child, I said my child, not that be born by me, but child that I would given to me too, that someone will ask me, and I will advise how to make from him a person, and really a person that will be a real man and a real Jew. And then up till the let's say 18 years, we be knowing already all the Zohar and all the works of Ari. Maybe he will finish with all the Talmud at the age of 15, not more, then to study even the Talmud through the Zohar. Then it is no need anymore to study the Talmud. He will understand everything what he studied in Talmud through the Zohar. He doesn't need to repeat this again and again and again, as this masses does. So it will be already to the 22 years, already the grown-up man. And if this man will marry someone, then this will be a tremendous marriage, tremendous finding for tremendous thing for both of them. This will be a real man, and not like what they do, all these marriages of them, that are just the comedy of spirituality, the comedy of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from this, of the potentiality of this great nation, what has the pledge, the duty to bring the spirituality, the holiness to this world. The holiness means this light chokhmah. Still bring this only because they are the Rosh, they are the head. They must bring it to this world. Only this is the task of this nation. But now we see that it doesn't work yet. So we didn't translate this, yes? 28. With a ampet, and the second reason, or the second reason for this name, Ma. Madgish levaer, he points out, he stresses literally to understand. Asher achar al im kolze, that nevertheless, kivan she'alta rak lemakom ha'yishsu dekatnut, because she, the Nukva, rose only to the place of the katnut of the Yishsut. Why katnut of the Yishsut? Because this is the standard place of the Yishsut, and this is the katnut of the Yishsut. The Hainu, that means, what does it mean, the katnut of the Yishsut? Ba'od shahaya 30 ki kaima lishila, in the time when it was still a matter of liable for the question, stood for the question. Shehu me'achazeh ada tabur de arichanpin, that this is, which place is that? From the chazeh till the tabur 31 of the arichanpin. Harei gama mochin de nukva, behold, and then in this state, also the mochin of the nukva, domim legamrei, resemble completely him, are the same as him, as the mochin of the Yishsut. This is what she receives when I said Gama Nukva, Bichinat Kaima Lishila, and the Nukva, also the Nukva, becomes the aspect of Kaima Lishila, of standing, she now stands for the question. Also she is like, stands for the question. Shapirusho, again you see, he explains it more and more, deeply. Shapirusho, that this means, vak bligar, vak, 6/10 of the light, the lower, because the light has also 10 sferot, you remember. The 6 lower, the 6/10 of the light, without gar, without the 3 first. Yes, the 3 first then is Neshama, Chaya, and Yechida. And the 6 lower is Ruach. Ruach is like Zeir Anpin, is 6 sferot. Lower 6 sferot is Ruach. And Nukva is the 10th, is the Nefesh. Ela Harevach Amnam Gadol Meod, but the winning is very great. The winning, I mean, the acquisition, what she acquired by this is very great. Mipnei shehu vak the Abba line, because look what he says, because this is not just vak of the katnut, but this is the vak of the upper Abba. Yes, because why? The Hainu, that means vak the gadlut. The 6/10 of the gadlut, not the katnut, but the 6/10 of the gadlut. What does it mean? That Yishsud, that Zon or Nukva rose to the Yishsud, but Yishsud rose to the Abba V'Ima, yes, and had united himself with the Abba V'Ima, and now Abba V'Ima is united with the Yishsud, and they provide mochin to the Nukva, and this mochin comes through, and this mochin is now the coming through the Yishsud, coming to the Nukva, and these mochin are coming from the Gar, because Abba V'Ima are standing in the head of the Arichanpin, so she gets a fully light Naranchai of Nefesh and Naranchai of Ruach, of the Abba V'Ima. This means Vak, the Gadlut.